Relieve, respond, revive. WSFL-TV presents The Rebound, South Florida.
There's been many mornings that I pray that if I run out of gas, I don't run out of gas until after I drop them all off at school.
Struggling to make ends meet with loss of jobs and no financial help, so many families are scraping to get by, turning to credit cards and loans just to buy basic necessities. Why this pandemic debt isn't going away anytime soon. Renters in Broward County facing eviction could soon get some relief. The program that's being developed and how it could keep hundreds of tenants in their homes.
If you're able to touch one person's life and help them make change, however little it is, then you've done well.
Celebrating Black History Month, how one woman's mission has touched hundreds of lives across South Florida, and how her legacy is living on. The Rebound South Florida starts right now.
Tonight, lies, conspiracies, and the state's struggle to stop the spread of COVID-19 misinformation. How deceptive campaigns are proving to be as difficult to stop as the virus itself.
We just want to have our fair share, our equal access to it.
At this church,
We're talking about availability and accessibility.
pastors from a number of area congregations in Tampa Bay cried foul over racial disparities in the COVID-19 vaccine.
I want my people to get the same thing that I've been able to get.
Blacks and Hispanics are up to 3 times more likely to die from the coronavirus than whites. Yet minorities are getting the vaccine at less than half the rate.
If you make it accessible, we'll come to it.
Access and supply is one problem.
That's really the key driver of all the challenges is the supply issue.
You have a lot of people that are very distrustful and very willing to listen to Twitter and Facebook.
But University of Miami's Dr. Olvine Carrasquillo, an expert in minority health, fears once supplies increase, the bigger threat to minorities remains disinformation.
Over in the UK, 100 people were paid over $100,000 apiece to take the COVID-19 vaccine.
The steady stream of lies and conspiracies circulating online, like this one, claiming the vaccine isn't safe and its side effects can kill.
All 100 people that took this vaccine and were paid for it have died.
This, just a few of the videos he provided to us.
This may well be the most important video you will ever watch in your life.
Targeting minorities.
We're going to be branded. Now, this reminds me of World War II.
Are they really all that effective?
Well, they're effective in people not getting the vaccine.
Vaccine reluctancy is a problem, especially among minorities. While it's unknown where videos like these are being produced, Carrasquillo explains why they're hitting the mark.
We see Latino accents in the people, so it sounds like they're Latino. The African-American female who starts with God bless and looks very like your typical grandmotherly, like the person that normally in your family, if you're African-American, would go for advice and suggestions, sort of like the matriarchal person. They're very well done.
Florida has allocated $1.6 million for a PR blitz to help combat misinformation and increase vaccine acceptance among minorities. But some lawmakers are skeptical.
1.6 million probably isn't going to do it.
Do you think enough is being done by the state to combat these very effective misinformation campaigns?
When you see a lot of the stuff about general brochures, they're very generic and very, they're fine, but they don't address a lot of these very nitty-gritty stuff.
I don't know if you're doing your research or not.
Back at the church, Reverend Wayne Thompson responds to one of the videos.
I think that's a bunch of junk.
He says while a few members have expressed concerns about the vaccine's safety, the bigger battle remains access. Minorities are still fighting for.
They can put out all the misinformation they want to, but when they see people getting the vaccination, that's going to turn it all around.
The state has also been working with a number of churches around the state trying to increase vaccine supplies to minority communities, but those are also limited, with many churches like this one being turned away because supply simply isn't there. Katie Legrone, WSFL TV.
I'm Forrest Saunders at the Capitol. Florida businesses got a step closer to COVID-19 liability protections. That's after a state House bill cleared its second committee hurdle. Shielding employers from frivolous lawsuits is a top GOP concern here and across the nation, but critics question if it's even really a problem. In the Sunshine State, ag is the second strongest industry, but COVID protections are weak, according to those doing the work.
I think that the industry needs to be more responsible.
Antonio Tovar is the outgoing head of Florida's Farm Worker Association. He says social distancing is often difficult. Things like masks, not always available.
We actually have to build them ourselves.
Tovar is very apprehensive of COVID liability protections, worried they're going to make things worse.
It is going to encourage the industry to be less responsible and to care less about the workers.
Not so, say Florida Republicans, advancing bills they believe will protect businesses, churches, and schools from only frivolous COVID lawsuits.
Florida's known as one of the nation's judicial hellholes.
Senator Jeff Brandes is sponsoring a version. Among other provisions, it protects defendants if a court finds they made a good faith effort to follow virus protections. A sue and settle culture crackdown, he says.
That's why you have to provide some type of safe harbor for these businesses, so that they'll be able to move forward.
But at the moment, not many are suing. Florida Justice Reform Institute finding 53 COVID liability suits across the state.
The simple truth is we're just at the beginning of this. Without this legislation, individuals would have 4 years in order to file this, as the statute, to file these types of cases. We limit it to 1 year.
Democrats, however, see the bill as a solution in search of a problem. Senator Perry Thurston.
What you're talking about is denying citizens access to court, and that's the problem.
The argument is now happening in legislatures across the nation.
Senators will vote this week.
Accelerated after Republicans failed to get national protections passed last year. To date, 16 states have enacted some kind of business or government shield. Florida's policy among 21 states trying this year.
To be realistic, it looks that they already made their mind.
Tovar has accepted little will help keep the state's GOP majority from making their policy a reality, but he says the fight won't be over post-passage. Workers, he warns, will remember the decision at the ballot box. And Florida lawmakers have also filed what's essentially a companion to this business bill. The new legislation would protect healthcare providers from COVID-19 liability if approved. That's the latest out here at the Capitol. I'm Forrest Saunders reporting.
Here's what's next on the Rebound South Florida. Helping renters in Broward County stay in their homes. The program that's being developed and the action both tenant and landlord have to take to make it happen.
And lenders in Broward County who may be facing an eviction case can now find a solution with the county's new mediation program. I spoke with the mayor of Broward County, Steve Geller, about how it works. Broward County Chief Judge Jack Tutter created the foreclosure mediation program to help homeowners and lenders find a solution that works for both parties. Mayor of Broward County Steve Geller says all COVID-19 related eviction cases will be under mandatory mediation. He says the goal is to keep tenants in their homes and for landlords to receive payments from the county.
Let's say you have a tenant that is 8 months in arrears. The county is willing to pay 75% of the overdue rent for the last 4 months, the most recent 4 months, and 60% of the overdue rent for the remainder of the arrearages.
But if landlords disagree,
he can proceed with the eviction.
In October, the state moratorium expired after the Federal Centers for Disease Control and Prevention imposed its own nationwide moratorium to help renters who were affected by the pandemic, which was then set to expire on Sunday. The CDC then extended the current order until March 31st. Geller says these two final details are still being negotiated: how the renter can prove they've been affected financially by the pandemic and how long of an extension a landlord needs to give a tenant. The program is scheduled to launch February 16th.
Working since COVID has hit, security is just going to keep on growing, and it's an amazing company to join.
Helping South Florida get back to work. We'll take a look at who's hiring. You're watching the Rebound South Florida. Getting through this with stories to help get back on track as we rebound in South Florida.
Americans owe nearly $1 trillion in credit card debt, an all-time high according to the Federal Reserve, and much of that debt was piled on in the second half of 2020. Here is why, and what some say needs to be done to get millions of Americans out of this $1 trillion hole.
In just the first few months of the pandemic, more than 20 million Americans lost their jobs.
Hi, I'm Gwen Turos.
Hi, my name's Amy Blasio.
I'm Mary from Minnesota.
These three women are among the 10 million that still have not been able to return to work.
Once I lost my job in April, my unemployment was only $65 a week. So I was getting the extra 600, which was helping some.
For all three ladies, when the federal $600 supplemental ended in July of last year, things went from bad to worse.
We knew that there was going to be some kind of gap. We didn't realize that there would just be a complete donut hole.
For almost 6 months, as Congress couldn't come to an agreement on another stimulus bill, these ladies had to survive on as little as $35 a week in unemployment benefits. For Gwen, that didn't even cover half of her wife's $500 monthly health care insurance premium, a new cost they had to pay since she too was now unemployed. For Mary, it barely provided food for her and her son, and for Amy, it didn't even cover the cost of gas to get her 11 children to school each week.
There's been many mornings that I pray that if I run out of gas, I don't run out of gas until after I drop them all off at school, so that it's just me that I have to worry about getting home.
Each has had to load up their credit cards or take out loans and is now thousands of dollars in debt.
The number one thing we are hearing in our organization is people saying, but what about all of the debt I have now?
Stephanie Freed is with Extend PUA, an organization of thousands of Americans who are unemployed fighting for help from Congress. Its latest battle is over this debt crisis, asking Congress for retroactive unemployment payments that would be some portion of the $600 supplemental that ended in July.
Pretending the last 5 months didn't happen is frankly childish to say, oh, well, I got away with that. We got away with not helping for 5 months, so we're just going to pretend that didn't happen. People won't survive.
Retroactive unemployment benefits are so far not included in Biden's $1.9 trillion stimulus package, and it's unclear if it will eventually get tacked onto this plan or a future one.
I'm guessing that where we are, it would take me 4 years of work in order to catch up from the blow of this pandemic.
I'm 44 years old. It's $26,000. I make $30,000 a year on a normal year, working full time. I will never get that paid back. If retroactivity is not included, I feel like I'll be in debt forever.
With another potential long-term impact of this pandemic debt, I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
As you just heard, the struggle to make ends meet is real across the country and right here in South Florida. We know so many people are looking for jobs right now. That's why each week we highlight a company that's hiring. Right now, a nationwide security company with 3 branches in our area is looking for workers.
An uptick in services needed by a security company in South Florida has opened many doors for the unemployed. Allied Universal is looking for about 250 employees spread across Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach.
We have entry-level positions for folks who are looking for stable growth with nice career opportunities. But they don't maybe have security experience. They can start with one of our entry-level positions. We will teach them. We also have more experienced positions where we require somebody with prior military or law enforcement experience.
According to VP of Recruiting Jason Zigman, Allied Universal is North America's largest security services company.
We provide security services and security technology solutions. So in the way of man guarding, that would actually be security professionals who are typically uniformed out in the street, and they're responsible for maybe access control, who's allowed to get in and out of a building. We also provide technology solutions. So if we want to go touchless for entering a building and using technology to do that, we provide the services and the technology to do that as well.
It is recession proof. We've been working since COVID has hit. Security is just going to keep on growing, and it's an amazing company to join.
Daniel Bondo works at the Miami branch as a supervisor. He started 4 months ago.
They had me supervising 8 to 10 employees, making sure that they're okay, making sure that their uniform is okay. When it comes to clients as well, we have to treat them with respect. Always have to be a people person with a smile, going in with a good attitude.
Daniel says he sees himself growing within the company.
There's a lot of regions, a lot of districts that they do cover. I see myself just growing, and I spoke with a lot of managers. I get a lot of good feedback.
We require somebody who has good customer service skills, somebody who's able to communicate, speak to the public. People with strong communication skills tend to do really well in our organization.
Allied Universal has been around for over 60 years. They do offer benefits for full-time employees. If you want to know more about the positions and the qualifications, go to our website, WSFLTV.com. You'll see the story right on our homepage.
I've learned it's better to give than to receive. But when you give, it's amazing how much comes back to you.
Celebrating Black History Month, how one local woman's life has made an impact on hundreds across South Florida, and how she hopes her legacy will carry on.
WSFL TV is celebrating Black History Month by highlighting the contributions African Americans are making in South Florida. Tonight we're featuring Dr. Evelina Bestman, a psychologist who's made it her priority to end the stigma of mental illness.
If you're able to touch one person's life and help them make change, however little it is, then you've done well.
A pioneer in mental health services, Dr. Bestman changed many lives across South Florida. For the last 50 years, Dr. Bestman has made it a priority to help people understand mental illness.
It's full blast now because of the pandemic, and the general population is feeling it. I think it's made people feel more comfortable that they are not normal per se, that really being in a state of anxiety, stress seems to be the normal state of being, even though it should not be. But that's the reality.
The death of George Floyd and the subsequent Black Lives Matter protests across the country has taken a toll on the Black community.
I was very active in the civil rights movement. It took me back to that whole series, Martin Luther King era, where youth were very actively participating and expressing displeasure with the injustice and racism that was so prevalent within our society. And we just didn't want to ignore it anymore.
The pandemic also causing a lot of stress. Data from the CDC shows African Americans and Hispanics have suffered 2.6 times more cases of COVID-19 than white non-Hispanics. New Horizons Mental Health Center, along with other organizations, are helping residents that have been negatively affected by the pandemic. The center offers a wide range of preventative, substance abuse, and psychosocial rehabilitation.
It could range from, diagnosing, just making assessments of individuals so they'll know where they are on the spectrum and designing treatment plans with them. We work with those youth who have, gone on the wrong path in terms of getting involved with the criminal justice system, the juvenile justice system, and to help them find a way to really achieve the goals that they want to in life.
Even though Dr. Bestman has retired, she hopes her legacy of giving back and encouraging others to do the same lives on.
Not let anyone tell them that they cannot do it.
The center, which is located at 1469 Northwest 36th Street in Miami, was renamed after Dr. Bestman to honor the dedication she has put into mental health services. There's no shortage of talent in South Florida. North Miami's diversity allows everyone to shine. Tonight, we leave you with Emerson Albert.
We've been raised with my 6 siblings, so that was fun. Every year the fair opened, we were there. Always had to grab an elephant ear. The spot for me was actually the basketball courts. I'm not gonna lie, I was always at the parks playing. That's just what I like to do. Some of my favorite things down here is just that it's so diverse, and with the diversity comes a lot of food, and people love to eat. So there's so many different cultures you could eat from, I think that's the best part of South Florida, to be honest.